All right, welcome to another video. I'm back from vacation. Took a little holiday break. Over the holiday break, I noticed I got quite a few comments. There seems to be quite a bit of confusion about external hard drives. What should you get? What should you use with your console? Also, I'd like to go over briefly after we talk about this. We'll talk about how to fix what to do if your external hard drive doesn't work with your console. It's actually rather easy how to fix these drives to work with your consoles. So this will be for PlayStation or for Xbox Series S, Series X, PS5, PS4, PS4 Pro. It doesn't really matter. And the topic is not a huge topic. If you're really worried about it, you really shouldn't be. It's pretty easy. I would put it up to how much money you really want to spend on an external hard drive. When it comes to the new consoles, so the new generation of consoles, PS5, Series S, and Series X, where you're going to notice a difference between a regular hard drive and an SSD, a solid state hard drive. This is SSD drives? No, this is okay, external. These are the SSDs. Anyway, where you're going to notice a difference, where you're really going to notice a difference is transfer speeds when you're transferring games from the internal to the external or the external to the internal. This is where an SSD versus a regular hard drive is going to make a huge difference. But look at the price, 2 terabytes, $60. This 1 terabyte is $115. So transfer speeds is going to be the biggest difference. So you have to realize, is this very important to you? When I transfer my games back and forth between the internal and the external, how long, am I willing to wait? Because that's where you're going to see the biggest difference between the drives. When it comes to loading times, playing games from the external, loading times, you're not going to see a bigger difference than, say, 60 seconds, even 90 seconds. But it's not going to be 90-second difference. I have plenty of videos showing games loading from my external drive, which is an old, over 2 year old hard drive, and they load fast. They load 60 seconds, you're in, you know. So if my external regular hard drive takes 60 seconds to load a game, do you think an SSD is going to load it in 1 second? No, it's not. It's going to take at least 15, 20 seconds, let's say 30 seconds, something like that. So you're saving seconds when it comes to load time. You're saving literally seconds. It's not even going to be minutes. But as I said, when it comes to transferring data, transferring your games back and forth, this is where you're going to notice a huge difference. There's going to be a huge difference. This morning, I transferred 3 games. They totaled 100 gigs total. I transferred them back to back. Well, I transferred them at once. It took my console, so I transferred them from the internal hard drive to the external, and it took my console 15 minutes, which is actually pretty good. To transfer 100 gigs of data in 15 minutes, that's actually great. Whereas if I were transferring them from my internal to an SSD, it probably would have done it in 3 or 4 minutes versus 15 minutes. So this is a big difference. It's a significant difference. But I don't transfer the games very often. And I normally won't transfer 3 games like that. I would transfer one at a time. So each game took under, let's say, 5 minutes, because it took about 15 minutes. So let's say each game took 5 minutes to transfer. So that's what we're talking about. Where that 5 minutes, if I was using an SSD, it would be a minute, you know. So I'm saving 4 minutes. I'm saving 10 minutes. Let's give the SSD the most credit and say it would transfer 100 gigs in 2 minutes. So I saved 13 minutes. So here's where you're really going to see the difference. So if this is important to you, then you probably want to go SSD. If you can, that 10 minutes or that 15 minutes is important to you, then you should definitely go SSD. Here you see a 1 terabyte SSD is $114. If we look at the regular drives, a 2 terabyte, double the space, is $60. So if I go in here and see the 4 terabyte this is a regular, is $99, and here the 5 terabyte of the same drive is $104. So it's still $10 cheaper, and 5 terabytes. That's 5 times the amount of storage space for 104. But if you're considering this, if you ask me, that's 219. This is 220. This is the official, and again, only 1 terabyte. So now, I mean, we're starting to see the difference, right? 2 terabytes, double the space of this SSD here. This is a 1 terabyte, as you see. It's $114. If I were to go 2 terabytes with this SSD, they were talking $260, which to me doesn't make sense because you can buy this card and play any game off of it, even though it's half the space, for $219. With this, there are going to be certain games you're not being able to play off of it. There are certain optimized games that still need to run from the external, but this Seagate expansion, it doesn't have that problem. Any game will run off of this if you have this plugged in. It sees it the same like the internal drive. So if you're willing to go up, see, but look, the Xbox Series S costs $299. This is almost the same price. Even this to me is just, like I said, this is for transfer speeds. To me, those are not worth it. So when it comes to these, I prefer Seagate and Western Digital. Here's a Western Digital game drive if you're really like, okay, which is $72 for 2 terabytes. So this is still pretty decent. But to me, the extra, what's $12, $13 is not really worth it. Because the speeds, they're not. I think this transfers at 140 megabytes per second, whereas this transfers at 120 megabytes per second. So it's a 20 megabyte difference, but I don't know. The other one does look cooler. It does definitely have a much better look. But the main thing with these drives, the thing that you really do need to keep in mind is, especially for the newer console, for the next gen consoles, they have to be 3.0. So it does have to be USB 3.0, which it states right here. If you can see my mouse moving, it states right there, USB 3.0. So do these here, USB 3.0. So this is the thing that is a must, USB 3.0. In this day and age, if it's not a 3.0, it's not worth getting, to be honest. This is USB 3.2, which is also, this is transfers at close to a gigabyte. 1050 is almost a gigabyte of transfer speed. So this is a huge difference. But like I said, that's transfer speed. When it comes to load times, it's going to be in seconds. It's not going to be minutes. You're going to notice it in seconds load time. So, it's your call. It's how much money you have to burn. Like I say, at some point, to me, even if you're going to spend this $114 for the 1 terabyte, I would just throw in the extra money and the extra $100 for this at that point. Me, this is what I would go with here. I would go with that, something like that. One of these two, I like the way the Seagate looks over the Western Digital, but that's the only reason. They're the same price. Same thing, 2 terabyte, 3.0, 12 terabytes. That's crazy. Same thing. I wouldn't pay that for a regular hard drive, even if it is 12 terabytes. But anyway, so there's really, not too much to say about that. You just have to decide, are transfer speeds important to you? Because if they are, then you want to go SSD. If they're not important to you, regular hard drive is going to work just fine as long as it's 3.0. Because when it comes to load times, loading games from the external rather, you're not going to notice a huge difference. It's not going to be in minutes. The SSD does the majority of the work, the internal SSD, so you're not going to see a huge difference. So don't stress out about it too much. Pick up whatever you can afford is really what it comes down to. So let's go over. You plug it into this is mainly for the PlayStation users. When it comes to Xbox, most drives, when you buy a drive, plug it into your Xbox. Your Xbox is going to recognize it, and then it's going to ask you, do you want to format it for games or for movies and music? And then you take your choice and let the Xbox format it. And I'll explain why it does that. Where PlayStation, it doesn't work that way. If you just buy a hard drive and plug it into the PlayStation will not recognize the hard drive 9 times out of 10. And the reason for that is that most hard drives, when you buy them, are formatted in the NTFS format. Okay. PC is now responding, really? Okay, way to go. I don't know why that's happening. Okay. So, yeah, this is weird. Oh, maybe it's this one. Let's try this. There we go. Let's see format. Okay. I don't know. I'm going to have to check that drive when we're done. Anyway. So you see here, local disk G is formatted in exFAT. And the reason it's formatted in exFAT is that I use it on my PlayStation. The beautiful thing about your PC is your PC recognizes either format. So it recognizes here NTFS. Can I bring this up? I cannot. Okay. I cannot make it bigger for you. Sorry. So hopefully you can see. You know what? Let me get the magnifier out over here. Let's see if the magnifier works. Hey, look at that. Okay. That's interesting. So now you can really see here. This is formatted in exFAT. Most drives format in NTFS by default, are formatted by default, which is why they work with Xbox. Xbox uses NTFS format. PlayStation uses exFAT format. So let me shut this down. Let me find it. Where is it? Where's the magnifier? There we go. Okay. So, I forgot where I was. Sorry. Well, that's why when you plug your hard drive into the Xbox, 9 times out of 10, it's going to read it. It's not going to have any trouble seeing it because they default is NTFS, which is exactly what Xbox uses. PlayStation, on the other hand, exFAT. So you do need to plug your hard drive into a computer first, format it for exFAT. And once it's formatted for exFAT, you can then plug it into your PlayStation. It doesn't matter which PlayStation 5, 4, 3. Well, no, you can't plug it into. Oh, yeah, you can. But anyway, you know what I'm saying. So that's how you fix it. It's pretty easy. And again, if you have a hard drive that's not reading on Xbox, do the same thing. Plug it into your computer, right click it, go here to format it for NTFS, and that will make it visible to your Xbox. When you plug it into the PlayStation, it's going to do the same thing. Ask you if it's for games, it's going to format it for games. On both of those systems, once the hard drives are formatted for games, you can't use them for anything else. If you choose videos, then you could put music and videos and stuff like that on them, and you can put whatever you want. But once they're formatted for games, that's all that they can do. With the newer gens, like I plugged the hard drive that I was using on my PS4, I plugged it straight into my PS5, and it recognized all the games that I had downloaded. I did not need to download it. And I know Xbox works the same way. So every game that I download on this hard drive from my Series S is going to be available when I do get a Series X, plug it into my Series X, and it's going to show. I'm not going to have to re-download everything. So it's pretty easy stuff. It really is pretty easy. Don't stress out too much about external hard drives because, like I say, most of the loading is done by the internal drive. So you're not going to see a huge difference. If somebody's telling you you're going to see a huge difference, they're not telling you the truth. You are not going to see a huge difference when it comes to load times. Only transfer speeds. So again, don't stress out about it, guys. Just I would get what I could afford. Anyway, that's going to do it for me for my first video back. It's good to be back. I really appreciate you joining me. Hopefully I answered any questions you guys have or any concerns. If I didn't, feel free. Let me know in the comments and we'll talk about it. And that's going to do it for us. Till next time.